Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and this is the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, the music podcast on where I interview singers and musicians from genres of black music: gospel, jazz, blues, old school classic soul, old school hip hop, today's hip hop and R&B, Caribbean, Latin, Afrobeat, Afro-Latina, blue-eyed soul, disco, go-go, line dances, and the Lost 45s. So come with me as I take you on to a trip to the destination genre of black music right now on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Legal Shield is a proud sponsor of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Have you been involved in any types of accidents? Have you been a victim of identity theft? Have you been a victim of a computer fraud scam? Have you been in disputes with your tenants or landlords? If your loved one dies and they didn't write up a will for you or for your family, or you and your spouse are filing for divorce, or if you need help by opening up your small business, give Legal Shield a try. Visit their website at LegalShield.com and tell them you heard it here on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Do it today. You'll be glad you did. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., creator and host of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Now, before I bring up my special guest, I have good news to share with you. I have a new website, and you can look for it at the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's right, folks. I have a new website called the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. If you have a computer, laptop, notebook, or if you have a desktop computer and it has either MSN or AOL, make sure you type in the name of my podcast website, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. And if you have Google on your smartphone, make sure you type in the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's where you find all of my news blogs, or whatever you want to call it. That's where I tell you what's going to be on the next episode for the entire month. So please check out my website and please pass it on. Make sure you check out my website, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. In the meantime, enjoy today's episode and thank you for your support. Welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and I have a special guest on my show. This gentleman that I'm about to introduce is a smooth jazz percussionist. He was in many jazz bands, including Havana Fusion, Stiff Stuff, and many others. He has also made appearances with other musicians, including Dexter Wansell, Jonathan Cain, and many others. He has also performed with other musicians, including Bob Baldwin, Andrew New, and female pianist Yulia. While he's not performing, he is also the founder of Drive Time International Publishing, LLC. And he is also the radio host of his own Top 20 Smooth Jazz Countdown radio show on his own station, Groove Light Radio. So please help me welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bernard Capodici.
Oh,
hi, Bernie.
That's
How are you?
marvelous. That's beautiful. Thanks, Samuel. I appreciate it, man. It's great.
Yes.
Good
Welcome
pronunciation.
to my show. Yes. As you know, my late great uncle was Greek, Italian, African American. So just learning how to pronounce everything. So I'm very delighted to have you here on my show. So
I'm glad
pleasure
to be here.
have you here. All righty. So we're going to talk about everything what you've been doing as a musician and other venues. We'll talk about that a little bit later on the show. So, as
Okay.
always, America doesn't know who you are, the world doesn't know who you are. So, I'm very delighted to have you here. So, let's get started, shall we? Now, let's get to know you a bit. Can you tell us a bit about your origin story? Where were you born, and what type of environment did you grow up in?
To put it, succinctly for people who understand, I was basically a latchkey kid. My parents separated when I was about 7 years old, and my mom moved around a lot. Basically, I went to about 5 or 6 different schools and you know, had to make my presence known in each one of them, whether it was a fat lip or a black eye, one way or another. My father was a drummer, singer. He occasionally worked with the Four Aces. I don't know if people listening go back that far. And he started me on drums really, really early. They used to take me to clubs, make me sit in. I had a good sense of timing. And I played for a good portion of my young years. But uh, then my mom passed away. I was about 19, and I took off. During that time, before my mom died, I was playing with different bands, basically bongos and congas, because they were easy enough to get around instead of lugging around a trap set. And I sort of lost interest in traps after a while. There were so many good drummers out there, and I wanted to have a new kind of challenge. So I was playing in different clubs in Wildwood, New Jersey, the Hurricane, the Barn. I played with Cookie Jar and the Crumbs. I was a little bongo guy with the Joe Cavalier Review at the Hurricane for a while. And then my mom passed away, and I lived with my dad for a while. Couldn't take it. He moved up to Doylestown. Basically, I grew up in South Philadelphia, West Philadelphia. Went to Clifton Heights High School when my mom was still alive. I was born in Chester, Pennsylvania. Um, and I went out, I had a couple friends, got in my Mustang, and we just were sitting on Long Beach Island, New Jersey. And yeah, about a month later, we were on Long Beach, California. Is all I know.
All righty.
Yeah.
Now, you went to different schools. Which high school did you go to?
Well, I went to Clifton Heights High School uh,
Mhm.
in Delaware County. Good old Delco. But after 10th grade, I was on a television show back then. It was called The Discophonic Scene, and it was taking up a lot of my time, so I quit. But after a couple of months, I realized it was really a dumb mistake. So I went to finish school at Temple Prep at Temple University and finished high school there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, Temple
yeah.
University. Okay, that's the college that you went to, correct?
No, no, that's the prep school that I finished high school in.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So then when I went out west, I went to L.A. and L.A. was really, I don't know, I couldn't get a good feel for it. I was from the east. I talked too fast. People, people, people were like, "Slow down, dude." So I hooked up with the magazine company selling magazines door to door, and ended up in Salt Lake City. And I escaped a midnight escape where we made friends. The car pulled up. Me and my girlfriend jumped in, and we split. So that's that story. But I stayed there and went to school at the University of Utah and attended bar at a place called the Winery, where I had a chance to play with, some absolutely greats. The Salt Palace was right across the street, And occasionally, what would happen, they would have rock concerts, and I always had my congas. So here comes, Three Dog Night. I get a chance to sit in with Three Dog Night. I'm like, wow, this is great. Then a few months later, there was Steve Miller. So I had a chance to sit in with Steve Miller. Then, as time went on, the Doobie Brothers came by and I got a chance to sit in with them. So they were my early years before I can't really even say I knew what I was doing as far as congas. There was a lot more to it than I had realized at the time. But then I got a message that my dad had cancer. So I packed up and I came home to kind of try to help out as much as I could. Um, but during that time, while he was getting better, I moved to the West Indies, Dominica. And that's where I really started to learn about the conga drum. The conga drum is an amazing instrument. And yeah, so that's where I
Yes.
started really to learn what was going on.
Okay. Well, first of all, my condolences goes out to you in the loss of your mom.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
how old were you when you started playing the musical instruments? We're going to get to the juicy stuff later, but
Okay.
people would like to know how old were you when you started playing the musical instruments?
I was probably 5 when I started on traps, and I was probably 15 or 16 when I started playing bongos. Then I was probably 19 or 20 when I got serious about being a conguero, into congas, and getting that Latin bossa thing going. God, I love it. Oh man, I just love
Hmm.
that feel. So, I learned how to do the tumbero, which one of my teachers, Doc Gibb, I don't know if you know who Doc Gibb is, but he was a
Mm-mm.
Philadelphia percussionist, played with Grover Washington Jr., so many different. As a matter of fact, if you remember Emerald's show, his cooking show that he used to have on
Yes.
TV.
Hmm.
Doc Gibbs was his music director. Yeah, yeah, that's Doc. Yeah, that's Doc. But anyway, he always called the tumbero the mambo, which I thought was really funny. Yeah,
Mm.
so that's when I really seriously started playing.
Wow. Now
Yeah.
that you are a percussionist, was
Mhm.
that your calling?
Ah, I have I have a lot of things that I've sort of delved into. Probably was my calling, but I wanted to expand a little bit.
Hmm.
Started playing or learning how to play piano. I had a writing partner, um, young man named Jeff Bichello back in the day that we used to mess around in my basement and do all the kind of spacey stuff, and so we would both be playing keyboards and making all kinds of goofy sounds and stuff. you know so that's, excuse me. I got this cough, it just won't go away. So yeah, so got into that a little bit, and what happened eventually was that got me into composing, you know once I
Hmm.
understood that. And during that period of time, I was studying with different other musicians, like well respected bass player Joe Butera, and Juilliard graduate um, David Anker, and another keyboard player that I used as a teacher for a while. So I've just always wanted to progress. I didn't want to just be a conga player. I wanted to know more about music because I never read music. I could hear
Hmm.
it, I could feel it, I had good time, but I wanted to know more. So whether it was my calling, I think my calling essentially is to be an admirer. Do you know what I mean by that?
Mm. Oh,
I
no.
admire people so much and really appreciate their talent.
Hmm.
And that's what I guess my real calling would be. I appreciate people.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
you mentioned you have performed with the Three Dog Night and the Doobie Brothers. But
Yeah.
growing up, before you got a chance to meet those big giants, what were
Yeah.
some of your favorite musicians growing up?
Growing up, you know, I was so into music because I was the TV show I was on. I was a dancer. I was one of the dancing kids. Whether your audience knows Jerry Blavat, the Geeter with the heater, the boss with the hot sauce, you know,
Yes.
he basically raised me. So
Oh.
so I was on his TV show. I was one of his TV stars doing the whole dance thing. And I got to meet everybody. I got to meet Chuck Berry. I got to meet Fats Domino. I got to meet Sonny and Cher. I got to meet Sammy Davis Jr. I got to meet everybody. And yeah, had lunch with them at the Kona Kai right across the street after the show. You know, it's like I just I was there. I was with them. You know, it wasn't like I wanted to be with them. I just grew
Mhm.
up around them. You know, so
Mhm.
uh, it was extraordinary. Yeah, it was just an extraordinary way to grow up.
Mhm. And who were your musical
Oh,
influences that had inspired
influences?
you?
Oh God. Well, Sammy Davis. It's he's the ultimate performer. Drums, tap dance,
Mhm.
sing,
Mhm.
dance, funny,
Mhm.
comic. He's like he was perfect. He was the
Mhm.
perfect entertainer, and oddly enough, he started out in vaudeville. Did you know that? He was a
Yeah,
child
because
prodigy with his family. Yeah,
yes, because
yeah,
I
and
remember there
so
was that special on ABC back in 1990 of January. I
uh-huh,
think it was 2 or 3 more months before he passed away. They
yeah,
were talking about all of his timeline, as you just mentioned. He started
yeah,
at the age of 5. I think it was in a movie
right,
of Rufus Jones. And then his timeline, he was
right,
tap dancing with his
right,
dad and, the
right.
Will Masters trio. And
Oh
then
man,
he
ah,
started singing and also acting, and he was hanging out with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and
yeah,
Joey Bishop. That was the Rat Pack. That's the one that I knew growing
yeah,
up. And I
yeah.
mentioned he was in a couple of movies and he made some television appearances. He had appeared on some episodes, whether it was the Flip Wilson show or some of the other dramas like the Mod Squad and the name
Oh,
of the
he was on it.
game.
He was a yeah.
He
He
had
was
his
on a
own
lot of shows.
variety show. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
on. He would had his own variety show, and he had his own late night talk show, but it was aired Sunday night called Sammy and Company. That I remember. It was aired on Sunday night back in the summer of 1975. Aired on NBC4 New York on Sunday night, but I
Yeah.
couldn't stay up that late.
Excuse me.
Uh huh.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was definitely on board, but a more contemporary artist would be James Brown, Marvin Gaye. Yeah. God, I loved all those people. Smokey Robinson, the Temptations, the Four Tops, Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels. You name it. I mean, I was just in awe. I would just, just, oh man, I was in heaven. Just watching them, listening to them, meeting them. Uh, it was just so many people. I'm trying to think of anybody else. There were so many. I, one of the things that I do remember that struck me, Hugh Masekela, who I got to meet later on in life. There's a picture of me and him floating around the world somewhere that I can't. I used to have
Oh.
one, but I can't find it now. Um,
Uh-huh.
and there's one instance that I remember on the TV show back in the day.
Mhm.
Um, Alatunji was a guest on the discophonic scene. Ah, ah, I was just like, what? Oh my god, this is too crazy. And I just love I just love that whole African beat. Miriam Makeba, the
Mhm.
just gets me. I got chills just thinking about it. I just
Yeah.
love that whole period of
Right.
time. Just was wonderful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You
So
mentioned you mentioned Hugh Masekela, and I got a chance to see him perform at the Central Park Summer Stage in New York
huh.
City back in
Yeah.
June of 1999 to close out Black Music Month. So I got a chance to see him play that flugelhorn. Yep,
Oh,
I
man.
got a chance to see him in person.
Yeah. Beautiful man. Beautiful man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, let's get back to you. How would you describe your sound, your percussion and everything? How would you describe your sound?
Okay, let's take it from here. I thought getting into smooth jazz was a really good idea. So originally, the first couple albums, I guess, that we released, uh, I found myself sort of leaning into that smooth jazz kind of groove, that kind of feel. Um, but then there's this thing, this rebellious part of me that says, you know what? I do not want to sound like everybody else. And it's
Mhm.
all so cookie cutter. It's like the same producer writes for everybody,
Mhm.
you know? And it's nice, la di da di da, la di da di da, la di da di da, with a little funk beat under it. But it's, to me, it just, it wasn't working for me. So I kind of, got my guys together, and we're all from Philly. So we innately have sort of that Philadelphia sound as long as we're writing our own material, which is somewhere what we call it urban organic jazz, where there's no real loops or samples or any of that kind of stuff. It's all gritty on stage kind of playing. So right now, I would say we're urban organic jazz. It's essentially, it's kind of smooth jazz, it's kind of Latin, it's kind of funk, it's kind of jazzy jazz. Some of it's intricate, some of it's out there, but it all makes sense, you know, and it's different. I just had a review done by this gentleman Yuri or Yuli in Germany, and our last CD, Love's Paradox, he said was the best album, or he thought it was the best album we ever did, uh, which was unsolicited. He hit me up. I was like, I don't know who is this guy, and but his that was his opinion, and I certainly appreciated it.
Mhm.
But I would basically say our sound is traditional Philadelphia groove. Everything grooves, you know, but we use everything we possibly can, to make it sound. I don't know. I mean that Philly sound, that Dexter Wanzel, that Gamble and Huff, that it's not that kind of R&B.
Mhm.
I've worked with Dexter on a couple of occasions. I was toured in Europe with him, and I also did John Street's inaugural ball with him in Philly way back in the day. It's not necessarily, it doesn't lean on the R&B as much as it does the funk. So I would, I would essentially say, yeah, it's kind of got that Philly sound, but I think it hits a little harder. I don't like the I as Miles said, I love writing ballads, man. The ballads, I do ballads, yeah, man. I like that. I like ballads, but I also, tunes that I wrote, like Fat. Took me 10 minutes. It took me 10
Wow.
minutes to write the tune because it had the stank, it had the stank
Yeah.
on it. And yeah, but I do like ballads
Wow.
too. We do a lot of ballads.
hmm Now, you mentioned Dexter Wansell, and you had appeared and played with many musicians. You have performed and played with Jonathan Cain, Bob Baldwin, Andrew New, and the female pianist Yulia. What was it like
Yulia,
performing
that's
Yulia?
Yulia Petrova, who's actually
Okay.
from Russia. She lives in Dallas,
Mm.
Texas, and she ranks. And I saw this somewhere, and I should have taken a screenshot of it, but I didn't, and I could kick myself in the butt. She is ranked with Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock, um, Brian Simpson, and Yulia. That's dunk 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 dunk. She's amazing. I send her stuff. See, I do want to get one thing straight. I've never played live with Bob Baldwin, but he was responsible for our breakout single. I've recorded with him, but I haven't appeared with him in public. Jonathan Cain, I did a gig with him. It was just a duo. I had made this thing called the drum gun, which now I call the conga stick. And I played with him in San Francisco at some festival. It was just the two of us. And it was like the first time I had one of the first times I had brought this thing out. So I'm whacking away, sort of like Victor Wooten. Victor Wooten has Future Man. He has that synth axe that he converted into a drum machine that he used to play with what's his name, the banjo player. Anyway, so yeah, so I've played with him live, and Dexter, the two gigs that I did, well, we did a lot of gigs, but most of them were in Europe. And Yulia, I've never actually been in the same room with her.
Mhm.
She constantly appears on my radio show because she's phenomenal. Just she, there are three female pianists right now in the smooth jazz orbit that are amazing. Uh, Carol Albert, Lisa Adio, and Yulia Petrova. They are
Mm.
fantastic. And if your listeners are into, piano music, that those three people are the three people you should be listening to right now because they are fantastic.
Okay, I'm gonna check those
Okay.
ladies out on my YouTube a
And
little
they're
bit later
hot
on
too.
after this
They're very
interview.
hot. They're hot,
Oh, okay.
dude.
Whoa, okay. I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm gonna check those out on YouTube later on.
Yeah.
Now, how did you came up with the name of your group, Drive Time, and how many years was your group was in existence?
Well, it's in a way, it's still in existence. I mean, it's at this point, it's probably about, let's see, 1999, 2001, 2002. Yeah, it's over 20 years, I guess.
Okay.
Uh, but the name came about because that's how I viewed smooth jazz. In your car, coming home from work, turn the radio on. Because at that time, we had WJJZ with my really good friend Michael Tazi, and he would play all the smooth jazz. All you had to do was turn on your radio on the way home from work and, or going to a gig or coming home from a gig, and it was always there, you know? So I thought to myself, drive time, it's perfect.
Mm.
in hopes, trust me, in hopes that people would hear us on the radio during drive time. I mean, that was the catch.
Mm. Okay. Now, I got a chance to check out your music videos on YouTube, including uh, Tears in the Rain, Getting With It, and I like this one, Do You Funk, with the letter D and the letter U, Do You
Do
Funk,
funk.
and
Yeah.
Do Funk. Okay,
Oh,
thank
do
you.
funk. That's how we, yeah.
Oh, okay. And Mysterious Life. Please share with our audience on what those instrumental tunes are about.
Okay. Well, Tears in the Rain, that's a composition by one of our original keyboard players, Jimmy Del Orifice. Um, what his motivation was, uh, it's a guy standing out in the rain after his lady kind of like screwed him over, and sort of left him standing there, bewildered that he's been, hits upside the head, you
Mm.
know, goodbye, dude. I'm leaving you. And so that's basically the story on that. Mysterious Life. That tune was actually written by Yuri Usher. Yeah, it was written by Yuri Usher. And it was for a while, I had a Motown producer, Michael B. Sutton, who produced everybody that was at Motown. He did Smokey Robinson, Aretha Franklin, so many different people. And he was our producer for a while because he had his own label. And there are some very interesting people in there. And one of them was the late James Gadson playing drums, who just passed away.
Mhm.
And my heart is breaking. He did such a good job on that. And on bass, we also had James Manning and Kim Richards. Kim Richmond played saxophone, and it was produced. G. Taramani played guitar, my guitar player, and I played percussion, and it was produced by Michael B. Sutton. So uh, we wrote the rest of the album, which Do Funk is also. I think Michael wrote that one, which was the same cast of characters: Kim Richmond, um, uh, James Manning, and James Gadson, Gene, and myself. And they did rather well on the charts and on the radio, and blah 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 blah. But the rest of the album was the rest of the guys. Was Gene Taramani, um, Jimmy Del Orphis, J.J. Zeller on drums, um, and who else do we have? We had oh oh we had Andy Moeller and Nate Moeller on horns. We had Shay Arnold on sax. We had Andrew New on saxophone. Um, and mostly Jimmy played keyboards on all that stuff, on the rest of the CD. And the trying to remember the bass player who was on there. Um, I don't want to leave anybody out. I mean,
Mhm.
my thing is always definitely giving everybody the right kudos for what they did, because you know the truth of the matter is, uh, they do a lot of this stuff for nothing. They do it to be part of something. There's nothing better for a musician than to be a part of a group of people.
Mhm.
You know, um, I'll remember his name as time goes on, but
Yes.
young cat,
Now,
good.
yes. Now, I got a chance to check out your cover version of the song California Dreamin', which was originally recorded by the Mamas and the Papas. And
Oh
then
yeah,
later, the late Bobby Womack did his version. And then later, Jose Feliciano did his version. What
right.
was it like doing the smooth jazz version of that song?
I got the idea of doing California Dreamin'. So I asked my guitar player. I said, "Gene, let's reimagine, California Dreamin'." So we sat on it for a while, and then he came back to me. He said, "Here, let's just do this." And we sat down and we played it, and he did his arrangement, and I said, "Ooh, that's nice." So we recorded it, and that's how it really came about. It's really a product of Gene's brain, um, which I refer to a lot. To be honest, I've worked with Gene since he was 18 years old. I met him. We were in a band. We started in a band called, was a disco band called the Cabaret Corporation. And we were
Oh,
playing Holiday Inns and Ramada Inns and all these places like that. But I've known him like forever, and he's just a wealth of knowledge, and uh, he he plays guitar like a spread butter, you know. So when you ask him to do something, you're going to get something that's really sweet. Yeah, kudos to Gene Taramani.
okay. Now, while you're not on tour, you are the founder and president of Drive Time International Publishing LLC. Please share with our audience on what your company and mission is about.
I will as soon as I find my prop. There's my nephew going by there.
Oh, okay.
uh, my mission is to explain to young musicians how to protect their music. They get into music to meet chicks or to be famous, but they skip all of this. So
Mm,
this is part of the DTI publishing. It's the modern uh, recording artist handbook. You can get it at Amazon. You can go to Barnes and Noble, ask for it. They'll order it for you. They don't keep them on hand. But what it has in there is there's so many different things that you need to know before you even release a tune. You need to know you need to get an ISRC code. You need to get, if it's a CD or an album, you need a UPC for that. You need to copyright it. Then it goes into marketing. Then it goes into distribution. Who to there's companies out there like TuneCore, CD Baby, blah 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 blah. I personally have gotten off those platforms. I have found that Symphonic is the most reasonable priced, because I was ended up paying like $2,000 a year just to have my material being put onto Amazon and to Apple Music and all these platforms, and not making the amount of money that I was investing.
Mhm.
You know, so anyway, so there's a lot of information in the book. They try to do it online. You can go on YouTube and there's guys saying, well, these are the things that you got to do. But it doesn't explain how to do it. It just says, you got to do this. Great. How do I do that? you know, so that's what the publishing company is. And coming soon is my new book, The Truth About Smooth Jazz. that's going to be an eye opener. And of course, once again, it's for younger players. It's not necessarily for older players, because if you've been in the business as long as I have, you know these things already. It's kind of like it's what it is. Although I might be uh, blackballed from the business once I put it out, but
Mhm.
there's it's like anything else. Rock and roll has its downfalls. Country music has its downfalls. There's a lot of things that you don't get the kind of recognition you want. Uh, you go a little crazy and get desperate, and all those things. It doesn't matter. You have to feel the music. It has to be you. You have to be doing what you do for no other reason than you need to do it. you know,
Yes, very
you
true.
need to do it, not
Yes.
for any other reason.
Mhm. Now, let's talk about your other love, being the host of your own radio show called the Top 20 Smooth Jazz Countdown Radio Show. Now, is your radio show syndicated or on the radio, or is it on the internet?
It's on the internet. I'm working feverishly. We have just expanded to an incredible combination of human beings. It's not only me. Of course, I do the latest, top 20 tunes. You can't go wrong with that. You start at number 20. I work off the Smooth Jazz Network charts. It's the only one that I find reliable. You've got smoothjazz.com, but you got to, all these, ooh, I just, all these people, you got to pay them all this money. Money, 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 money. They make more money off you than you make off your own music. If you can tell, it bothers me a little bit. But I work off the Smooth Jazz Network chart. And so you really can't go wrong with that. It's boom, 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 boom. I like to slip in my friends, for Spotlight Spin, or my friend um, Andrew New just put out a new tune and he's not on the charts yet. I like to throw that in there. I always do that. I always play Yulia. I always put in one of her tunes every week, because there's a lot of people out there that can't afford to go the smooth jazz route. When you're going the smooth jazz route, if you don't have a label putting up the money for marketing and distribution, it becomes very expensive. It becomes very expensive to do. So I've added three other presenters, and they're the absolute best in the business. Um, Tina E. Clark, she's syndicated. right? She does my smooth jazz weekend at 4 o'clock, Saturday and Sunday. Dr. Davina Smith, Davina's Dots. She's on every day at 6 p.m. and 2 a.m. She has the most relaxing voice you ever heard. And
Kind of
she
like
has,
the Yeah, kind of like the Quiet Storm jazz sound,
yeah,
right?
so actually so does Tina, but with Davina, she has a point to make. She tries to draw you in and to give you an idea of, you know, how to smooth out your problems, and she's a doctor. What can I say? And then there's Alan Seifert. He's out of St. Louis, who has got the voice. You know what I mean? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another version of. Oh man, he's just fabulous, and he's got great taste in music. And he is on. Right before me. He's on at 8 to 10, and that's 7 days a week, and at 12 midnight. So if you're driving home in your car at midnight, you just plug your phone into your car, you hit the link, boom, you got music to take you home, and you got somebody to keep you company. He is the warmest human being. He just makes you feel like, hey, dude, how you doing, man? You know, he's me. I'm just boom. But the other people, they're sweeties. They're sweeties, and they're really enjoyable to listen to. So, but it all evolves around smooth jazz. I also do. There's a couple things I do, like at noon, for like 4 hours. I'll do the top 20 hits, or the top how many, I don't know how many, for 52 weeks. It comes in two shows of the top number one tunes of last year. So nothing but the best. Then I have at 4 o'clock Monday through Friday, a taste of Brazil. Some of the best Brazilian music you'll ever hear. So yeah, it's a passion. On Friday or on Saturday and Sundays at 6 o'clock, I have the Latin show, because I love Latin music. You know, um, the schedule's intense. You know, every time you tune in, you're going to get something that you're going to like. You know, so what I'm trying to do is get it going so I can get an app, so I can become a reporting station. And I think what I want to do is just build a really large audience, because I see a lot of people they'll have a smooth jazz show, especially on Facebook. If you go on Facebook, you always see, that at 4 o'clock here. But they don't band together. It's like they're not a team, you know? I'm used to working in a band. I've done one solo gig for a dance troupe in my life. One solo gig. So without other musicians, I'm just hitting the table, baby. So I'm used to building a team, and I think I've built a really solid team that, because smooth jazz is basically what the end result is. Acknowledgement. It's not a whole lot of money in it. There's not a whole lot of attention paid to it. The listening audience is fading, dying out. I mean, I'm 76. you know, so there are people getting they're getting up there, and music is the last thing on their mind. But for people who were around 20 years ago who lived and breathed the lifestyle was the wine tasting and the traveling and you know, going to vineyards to listen to music. It was getting cruises. Dave Koz is still doing cruises, you know.
Mhm.
I could never get my wife to do a cruise. I ain't doing that. So the audience is kind of thinning down, and the whole trick is to try to get younger people that
Mhm.
are you know prone to like wanting to listen to something that is calmer, that chills them out, and
Mhm.
that's basically
Mhm.
what the station's about.
Mhm. Now, on your radio show, did you had any guests like jazz legends or any new or upcoming independent jazz artists?
uh I do, as far as playing their music. I don't do interviews. Excuse me a minute. I tried to do it. I was with Pump It Up magazine for a while out in LA,
Mhm.
and they have a radio station, KPIU. And I tried doing some interviews on that besides my top 10 show or top 20. And to be honest with you, it didn't turn out so well. What I do is I leave it up to my friend Smiley J, the Artist Zone, and she does the interviews. And what I'm trying to work out with her is trying to get some of her shows onto the station. And that's Smiley J, the Artist Zone. Look her up. She's she's like my little sister. I mean, she is so fabulous. I've done quite a few interviews with her, or she interviewing me anyway. Um, uh, and she's a lot of fun. She's down in the Maryland area. Um, just look her up. She does really great, interviews. She really knows how to do that. I tend to say, well, how much money are you making? Are you are, like what what how many sales did you have this year? How much did you pay TuneCore to have your music distributed? I'm not good. I go straight to the heart. I'm not like you. I ask the hard questions, man. Like, you making it, man? Like, what? This is a funky business, let me tell you.
Yes, it is. It really is. Now, here's a question that I always ask my guests: living or dead, which jazz artist you wish you wanted to meet or to
Ooh.
perform with, or having them as your guest on your radio show, even though you don't do interviews?
Miles Davis, Charlie Parker. Um, I did get to meet Dizzy Gillespie. We hung out. He taught me how to use his cymbal stick. um, uh, I met Sun Ra. Uh, got to uh, got to be his engineer for a night. Um, so many. Sarah Vaughan. Uh, 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 my mind's going blank because there's just so many. Mongo Santa Maria. Trying to think of people that are like in my wheelhouse. I used to sit with Potato, who was he was a an artist with Latin percussion for a while, and we would play on our knees, and so I just love the guy. He was the sweetest person. Um, Other jazz artists, oh gosh, Um, Herb Albert. Loved Herb Albert from the first note I ever heard him play. Um, uh, uh, Lanny Hall, um, Sergi Mendez. I could go on for hours. I don't think you want me to do that. As soon as their name pops into my brain, this I want to just wanted to be with them. Especially the Chet Baker, like all those '50s artists, '50s and early '60s. Parker and it's a funny story. I studied theory with his wife, Chan Parker, and I also
Mm,
played in a band with his son, Baird Parker. So,
mm.
I got close. But no banana. Yeah. So
Okay.
I don't know. You want me to keep going? I'll keep going as soon as their head,
No,
he pops in
I
my
know
head.
you're gonna be here all night.
Yeah, right. I
Yeah.
just love them. Love the music,
Yes.
man.
Okay. Now, here in the Black Soul Music Experience, I always ask my guests who are the top 10 R&B black artists of all time. But since this is a jazz episode, we're going to be doing the Black Soul Music Experience top 10 smooth jazz artists of all time. Now, here's how it works. We do it like a top 10 countdown, like the show, America's Top 10, hosted by the late Casey Kasem. We would get to the bottom five of all of the artists that were good but didn't get any recognition. In other words, they were good, but on the record label they were on didn't get that marketing or promotion.
Right.
When we
So
get
you
to
want me
the
to work
top
backwards?
five,
You want me to
yeah,
work backwards? Okay.
yeah, backwards, like top
Okay.
10. But when we get to the top five, we will find out who was the best jazz artist or group of all time. That artist or group had their top 10 hit. Did that artist receive that song where it was a gold or platinum or double platinum or triple platinum? Did that artist performed either on American Bandstand or Soul Train or The Midnight Special or NBC Saturday Night Live or Solid Gold? Or did that artist had their music video, whether it was aired on BET or MTV or VH1 or any other local music video shows across the country? Did that artist had their own prime time special, whether it was on CBS or NBC or ABC? Or did they have their own special on PBS, whether they were performing on the show Great Performances, or did they had their show airing during Pledge Month? Or did they had their live concert special, whether it was aired on HBO or Showtime? So, well,
Uh,
Bernie, I don't
Dude,
know if you have.
I didn't study for this pop quiz.
Okay, but I'm gonna start with mine, and
Okay.
I'll
I'll see if I
while
agree
I'm
with you.
doing that, I'll let you get to any of your favorites, even if it's less than 10. I'll take it. Okay,
No,
so I'm
I
gonna
got
start.
10. I got 10.
You got 10?
I got 10. Yeah.
Oh,
You want
okay.
me to start?
We'll start with yours. Would you? Who
What
starts
they
at number
did
10?
as far as like concerts or TV shows or that kind of stuff, I don't know if I really could go into that. A couple I might be able to, but um,
Okay.
number 10, I would say Gerald Albright, saxophonist Gerald Albright.
Ah, yes, Gerald Albright, the smooth jazz saxophonist. He is
Right.
best
I
known
worked off
for
a,
his song
yeah.
of Soul Amazing, his version from the Luther Vandross edition
Mhm.
of Soul Amazing. I got a chance to hear some of his instrumental tunes on some of the black radio stations as well as smooth
Mhm.
jazz, but didn't get that much airplay or any recognition. So we'll put Gerald Albright at number 10. All right, we're up to number
Number
9.
nine. Number 9, Najee.
Ah, the other one, Najee, came on the scene back in 1987. I got a chance to see his music video on the show called Video Music Box, which was aired on WNYC TV
Uh-huh.
channel 31 before it moved to NYC TV channel 25. His debut song, Bet You Don't Know. I love that instrumental as well as the music video. So one of the best top 10 hits. So I'm gonna put Najee at number 9. Who should be at number
Number
8?
number 8, Mindy Abair.
Ah, yes, Mindy Bear came on the scene. I didn't have that much of her tunes, but I did get a chance to listen to a couple of her songs on YouTube. And one of my church members wanted me to burn a smooth jazz CD with different artists, and Mindy Beer was
Uh,
one of them. So I'll put Mindy Beer at number.
most the best work of hers that I would suggest is when she had her band together, the Bone Shakers.
Mm,
She had the
okay.
stink on it. She had the stink, you
Wow.
know?
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. So we'll put her
Real
at
nice
number
stink.
8.
Yeah.
Who should be at
Uh
number 7?
Norman Brown.
Norman Brown. We haven't heard from him in a while ever since he came on the scene back in the early or mid 90s. The only time I heard from Norman Brown, he made his debut back in the early 90s when Motown introduced us the Mojazz label. So
Mhm.
he did his version of Janet Jackson's That's the Way Love Goes, the plucking of his guitar and everything. So we'll put Norman Brown at number 7. Who should be at number 6?
Number 6, which I would like I would like to have put him probably further up the ladder, but there's reasons why I don't. And mostly it's because of his hair. Uh, Brian Culbertson.
Brian Culbertson. Okay, so
Yeah,
put him at
I
number
call
6.
him the masters of ceremony. He's 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 a circus barker. I mean, he plays great, but his live performances are a trip. They're just really they're exciting, but it brings a level of or tries to bring a level of glamour to the format that I don't really believe is necessary. A little too flashy, too Hollywood. You know, he should have been a rock and roller. I mean, or at least taken the mantle of Elton John. I mean, his costumes are pretty close. All he needs is those big freaking glasses and the boa. I mean, but I love him. He's a great player,
Yes,
and he
so
plays the
we'll put.
trombone. I mean, come on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we'll put Brian Culbertson at number 6. All right,
Yeah.
we're up to the top 5. We're up to number 5.
Okay. Uh, this one, it could be any number of people, but I picked Carol Albert because she has been in the business probably even longer than I have. You know, um, she. I've interviewed Carol, and I've had she was one of the people I interviewed for the KPIU radio thing, and she's very subdued, and she's had a little bit of tragedy in her life, which I'm glad I understand because I understand her music a little better because of that. And that's why I put her in at number 5, because there's there's soul. There's a person behind each note. And that's why I put her in there.
Okay, I never heard of that artist before, but I will check it out. I'll look it up
Yeah.
on YouTube and everything. So we'll put Carol Albert at number 5. Who should be at number 4?
Number 4, Grover Washington Jr.
Ah, yes, the one and only Grover Washington Jr. came on the scene back in the 70s. He'll be best remembered for his tune, Mr. Magic. And let me tell you, when the late Frankie Crocker played that song on 107.5 WBLS in the NYC, let me tell you, I got a chance to hear the whole thing, 9 minutes of that instrumental. It was funky and it was smooth jazz, everything. So he had performed with some other tunes, but he'll be best remembered for his number one hit, Just the Two of Us, featuring Bill Withers.
That's right.
So he's all the way around. And
I
yes,
think that was off
he
the album
appeared.
Wine Light.
hmm Yes,
Yeah.
and he appeared in the movie The Blues Brothers 2000, and this was his first time in his, acting debut with the other musicians. So
Hmm.
rest in peace to the late Grover Washington Jr.,
Yeah.
and we'll put
Yeah.
him at number 4. Who
I got
should
to
be
hang
at
out
number
with him.
3?
Number 3, Bob James.
Ah, the one and only Bob James. When he first came on the scene back in the mid 70s, when I was listening to 107.5 WBLS, I was listening to this version. It went like da 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 da. And then when I found out what the name of the song was, Westchester Lady, I was like, oh, okay, so that was Bob James. So I remember the da 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 da. That's the only one that I remember. And then he had some other tunes which was later sampled by today's hip hop and R&B artists, but he'll be best remembered for the theme. It was the name of the song was called Angela, but we know it
Right.
as the theme from Taxi.
From Taxi.
So every
That's
time I
right.
watched that show, Taxi, which was on ABC, then moved to NBC, I always think about the cast, everybody, Judd Hirsch
Oh,
and
yeah.
Tony Danza, Carol Kane, and Mary Lou Henner, and Christopher Lloyd. When you hear that musical opening and closing, and you
Yeah.
hear some of his tunes in many of those episodes, I said to
I
myself,
have
when
an
I
old
heard,
I have an old school jazz show that I do, and I definitely put that in there.
oh
And
yes, and
a
when I
lot of theme songs, a lot of theme songs in that show.
right,
Yeah.
and when I first heard that song on WLTW FM in the NYC back in 1985, when I heard that song, I was like, hey, wait a minute, that's the theme from Taxi. And then they
That's right.
played the whole version of it, 4 minutes and 50 seconds of it. So now we get a chance to see and hear the whole thing, compared to the TV version, which was usually like a minute or a minute and 20 seconds, but you hear the whole version of it. So I
Yeah.
downloaded the song too. So we'll put Bob James at number 3. Who should be at number 2?
Ramsey Lewis.
Ah, the one and only Ramsey Lewis. He made his debut back in the late 60s. He'll be best remembered for that tune, The In Crowd, and it had a young Maurice White in his group, who later
That's right.
founded Earth, Wind, and Fire.
That's
And
right.
the Ramsey Lewis that I knew back in the 70s with his LP called Sun Goddess, released on the Columbia CBS label. The radio station WBLS played a couple of his tunes, including Sun Goddess featuring Earth, Wind, and Fire. And he did his version of Stevie Wonder's Living for the City. And he had some other tunes and everything. So he went from funky jazz in the
Everything.
70s
Everything.
all the way
Yeah.
up to some classical jazz and everything. So rest in peace to the one and only Ramsey Lewis. And we'll put Ramsey Lewis at number 10. I mean, excuse me, number 2.
Number
All
2.
right, who should be at number 1?
I hate to say it. I really do. I really hate to say it, but I'm going to have to say Boney James.
Ah, yes, Boney James, one of the best smooth jazz artists ever. I've listened to a couple of his tunes and everything, so we'll put Boney James at number 1.
One.
So there we
Ba-bam.
have our top 10 smooth jazz artists of all time. Yes.
According to me.
Now,
That's
yes.
that. Let's I mean, I'm sure there will be many disagreements, but that's that's the way I see it. I met Boney. He's a great guy, and he's been on the scene since the beginning.
Mm,
You know,
okay.
he has numerous albums. He fills the room. And that's plus he plays so well.
Yes.
Can't beat that, man.
Very.
Filling
Yes.
the room is the most important thing.
Hmm. Yes. Now, before we wrap things up, you have been in music for many years and you're in your mid 70s. You've accomplished everything, your band and your radio show and your music publishing. What would you like to be remembered as?
The biggest fan jazz ever had. Pretty. That's that's it, man. I'm a fanboy. Uh, I can play a little. I can even chirp every once in a while. Um, I've even had my hand in rapping. Uh, I'm a halfway decent composer, but I'm a just I'm just a big fan. That's it. You know, I don't write for anybody else except myself. Um, I listen to everybody. Uh, I've enjoyed music. I've enjoyed certain players all my life. Um, that's it. I'm just a fanboy. I love the
Mm,
music.
okay. Yes, what a way to close it out. Well, Bernie, thank you so much for being here on the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. It's been a pleasure talking with you. I got a chance to interview a jazz legend who's been around for years. Thank you
I
so much
wouldn't,
for
I
all of
wouldn't
your
go that far, but
accolades.
thank you.
Yes, thank you
You're the
so much for
greatest,
all of.
my man.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so
I hope we
much.
can get together sometime. Maybe do lunch.
Yes, and I'll get a chance to check out your radio show on the internet and that other DJ that I wrote down. So I'm gonna check those out on the internet when I get a chance.
Oh, you better. You better.
Yes. Now, before we go, where can we follow you on social media and give us a quick plug on that book that we've just talked about?
Okay. The best place to go to find other links would be on Facebook. And of course, it's, facebook.com drive time UOJ or facebook.com, drive time jazz band. You can also go to our website, which is another one that has all the links that you'll ever want. Plus, it has a lot more information because the band's website is drivetimeUOJ.com. Very simple, drivetimeUOJ.com. Or you can find our music on Bandcamp at drivetime.bandcamp.com. Spotify, the link, just go to Spotify and then put in jazz or drive time, and you'll find us. You can find us on YouTube at Drive Time 2941, and you should be able to find us. You got to watch out when you put it's all one word. Drive Time is spelled DRIVETIME, because if you put it on in Google, you'll get Drive Time the car dealer.
Oh, okay.
Of course, if you put in Drive Time UOJ or Drive Time Jazz Band, it'll bypass the car dealerships and you'll get to
Oh,
us.
yes. Okay. And yes, thanks for clearing that up. Download all of the smooth jazz artists that we have talked about on this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Visit iTunes.com, Spotify.com, or purchase a CD at Amazon.com. Make sure you follow Bernie Capodici and check out the website Capodici.
That's enough.
Make sure you look for the website. It's drivetimeuoj.com. Follow the band on Facebook at Drive Time Jazz Band. Also on Instagram. Check out the music on Bandcamp at Drive Time. And check out the YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/drivetime2941. And if you want to know more about the book that he has published, the Artist Hands Book, you can order it right now at Amazon.com. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know more about my podcast, please check out my website, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com, where you find all of my news blogs and let you know what's going to be on the next episodes for the entire month. That's the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to check out this episode, please subscribe to the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Look for me on these 5 platforms. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Pocket Cast. And the link is riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s. Don't forget to add the S at the end, -studio. And I will be posting this episode on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And if you have a hard time getting on to riverside.fm, then please become a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast number 6. If you have a computer, put in your email address and your password. Visit the Patreon homepage where you see all of the different shows done by different creators. And make sure you go to the search box and type in the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast 6, where you can check out all of my audio and video podcast episodes and of the video podcast clips that you may have missed. And if you have a hard time getting on to Patreon, then I will be posting this episode on YouTube. Please visit my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/the Black Soul Music Experience. If you like this episode, if you love my podcast, please subscribe, please support, please give me a thumbs up, please leave a comment, and please pass it on. Thank you for joining me as I close out this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience.
Good night, folks.
Well, that's about it for this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. I'm Sam Wilson Jr. Thank you for joining me, and please tune in next week for an all-new episode. The Black Soul Music Experience Podcast is sponsored by the support of listeners and viewers like you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Look for my podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Pocket Cast. And don't forget the link. The link is riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s-studio. And don't forget to check out my audio and video podcast episodes by becoming a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. And please check out my video podcast episodes by subscribing to youtube.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. And please leave your comments, feedbacks, and replies by going to my Facebook homepage. Go to facebook.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. You can also tweet me on X, aka Twitter, at Sam Wilson Jr. 66, and follow me on Instagram at SAMM.Y2980. As always, partying, remember this: reach for the top and your dreams will come true, and it can happen to you. From all of us, take care, God bless, thanks for listening, have a good week, and please be safe.